Have you ever watched someone lose the love of their life, not because the love was gone, but because pride stood taller than their truth? You see, love doesn't always die with distance. Sometimes it lingers in glances, in silence, in memories that replay like a favorite song. And sometimes, just sometimes, he's still in love, but too proud to say it. He watches her laugh with someone new. He scrolls past her photos, heart heavy, but fingers still. He tells himself he's over it, but deep down he knows the truth. It's not that the love faded, it's that his pride never allowed it to flourish again. Maybe he thought apologizing made him weak. Maybe vulnerability felt like surrender, but in love silence is rarely strength. It's often fear in disguise. He carries her in the quiet of his mind. He remembers how she smiled when she felt safe. He replays the last words they shared, wishing he had said more, or less, but now she's moved on. And he's stuck between what was and what could have been, his pride the prison guard of a heart still beating for her. People often assume that love ends the moment two people walk away from each other, that the final goodbye closes the door forever, like shutting off a light switch, quick, clean, and absolute. But anyone who's truly loved knows that's not how the heart works. Love doesn't obey the logic of time, distance, or circumstance. It doesn't pack up neatly when a relationship ends. Instead, it lingers, quietly, stubbornly, like the scent of her perfume on a hoodie he still can't throw away. Even after months, sometimes years, the feelings remain. He may not talk about it. He may seem fine on the surface, laughing with friends, dating someone new, posting pictures that scream "I've moved on." But late at night, when the world goes quiet and there's no one left to impress, she comes back to him, in memories, in dreams, in flashes of what used to be. He tells himself he's okay, but his heart whispers otherwise. Love after separation becomes a kind of ghost, unseen but deeply felt. It's there in the songs that remind him of her. It's in the places they used to go, now avoided or visited with caution. It's in the way he compares every new person to her, even though he swears he's not. He catches himself looking for her in crowds, in voices, in the warmth of someone else's touch. But nothing ever feels quite the same. He may not even understand why the feeling won't leave. After all, they broke up. They had problems, they said harsh words, and maybe it ended badly. But love doesn't disappear just because something is broken. Sometimes love survives the fall. It sits quietly beneath the wreckage, waiting to be acknowledged. And for him, it's there every single day, whether he admits it or not. There's a kind of ache that only comes from loving someone you're no longer allowed to love, a dull, persistent pull that makes ordinary things feel slightly off. Coffee tastes a little less bold. Sunsets aren't quite as magical. Laughter doesn't echo as long. It's not that he can't enjoy life without her. It's that something essential is missing, and even though he might not say her name, she is still part of his story. He might try to distract himself, work harder, go out more, fill the silence with noise and new faces. But love, when it's real, doesn't leave quietly. It shows up uninvited, when he smells her favorite candle at a store, when he hears someone say her name, when he finds an old photo buried in a drawer. And suddenly he's back in that place again, missing her, wishing things were different, wondering what could have been. People around him might think he's moved on. He might even convince himself that he has. But the heart holds on in ways the mind can't control. Logic says it's over, but emotion isn't bound by logic. Emotion clings to what was beautiful, what felt like home, and for him she was home, even if the walls have crumbled now. He may try to numb it, pretend she never meant that much, tell himself it was just a phase, just a lesson. But deep down he knows better. The way he loved her, fully, wildly, without restraint, was not a temporary thing, it was real, and real love doesn't always come with a clean ending. Sometimes it simply stays even when she's no longer there. He doesn't talk about it because he doesn't think anyone would understand, because pride tells him to act strong, because men aren't always taught how to grieve love that hasn't died, but has walked away. So he keeps it inside. He lets the world believe he's fine, while his heart carries the weight of a love that never really left. And maybe that's the hardest part, not that she's gone, but that the love is still there, alive and breathing in the quiet corners of his heart, with nowhere to go. Because even after the goodbye, the heart doesn't always know how to let go. Pride is a powerful thing. It can protect us, build walls around our hearts, and convince us that showing emotion is a weakness. For him, pride is like armor, something he wears to hide the rawness underneath. Because beneath that tough exterior, there is a heart still aching, still open, still desperate to be understood. But pride tells him to stay silent, to pretend he's okay, to never let anyone see the cracks. He's afraid that if he reveals his true feelings, he'll be judged, afraid that admitting love after loss is admitting defeat. And so he buries his vulnerability deep, locking it away where no one can find it, even himself, sometimes. To the outside world, he's strong, unbreakable, but inside he's fighting a war between pride and his longing to be real. For many men, pride is learned early. Society tells them to be stoic, to man up, to keep emotions in check. And so, vulnerability becomes something to fear rather than embrace. Showing love, especially when it's painful or complicated, can feel like handing over your greatest weakness. So instead, pride takes over, creating a mask that says, "I'm fine," even when he's not. That mask is exhausting to wear. Every smile that hides a broken heart, every joke that covers the pain, every conversation steered away from what truly matters. It's a constant performance, and pride is the director insisting the show go on, no matter how much it hurts behind the scenes. And yet vulnerability is not weakness. It's the opposite. It's the courage to be seen, to be honest, to risk rejection for the chance at connection. But when pride rules, that courage is silence. He convinces himself that silence is strength, but really it's a prison, a barrier between him and the love he still holds. There's also fear that admitting love will reopen wounds, that the pain will come rushing back. So pride steps in as a shield, telling him to keep his feelings to himself. It whispers lies about moving on or getting over it, even when his heart refuses to listen. Pride gives him permission to walk away from his truth rather than face it head on. He may watch from a distance, loving quietly, while pride insists that he keep his distance physically and emotionally. It's a lonely place to be, caught between what his heart wants and what his pride allows. This internal battle wears on him, making each day heavier, each moment more bittersweet. Sometimes he confuses pride with strength. He thinks being silent, stoic, or distant makes him a man. But true strength is vulnerability, showing up, speaking up, and risking the possibility of pain for the chance of love. Pride keeps him stuck, while vulnerability could set him free. In the end, pride becomes the thing that keeps him from healing, from reconnecting, from finding peace. It's the reason he's still in love but too proud to say it, because admitting love means admitting vulnerability, and vulnerability feels too dangerous, too uncertain, too real. So he hides behind pride, waiting, hoping, but never quite ready to be brave enough to speak his heart. Silence can seem like the easiest choice after love has been complicated or lost. When words fail or emotions overwhelm, shutting down feels safer. He chooses silence because it's easier than facing the raw truth, easier than admitting that his heart is still aching, still holding on. But silence, though seemingly strong, is often a fragile defense that hides pain rather than heals it. He convinces himself that by staying quiet he is protecting himself from more hurt. If he doesn't speak, he won't be rejected again. If he doesn't admit his feelings, he won't be vulnerable to ridicule or disappointment. So silence becomes his shield, his refuge, his way of coping with the chaos inside. But that quiet is not peace. It's a slow, painful echo chamber of loneliness. The world may look at him and think, he's strong. He doesn't need to say anything. But inside, silence can feel like a cage. The more he holds back, the heavier the silence becomes. It builds tension, confusion, and frustration until it crushes the spirit instead of saving it. He may appear composed, but inside, the silence screams louder than any words ever could. There's also the cost of silence on those who love him. She might wonder why he won't talk, why he won't share. She may feel the distance growing, the emotional gap widening. Silence breeds misunderstanding. It creates walls where there could be bridges, and in love, those walls can feel like an unscalable barrier. He may think silence preserves dignity, but often it preserves only the illusion of control. Real strength comes from facing discomfort and speaking up, even when the words are hard. Saying "I'm still in love" is risky. It opens the door to vulnerability and uncertainty, but it also opens the door to healing and possibility. Sometimes silence is chosen out of fear, fear of rejection, fear of change, fear of losing control. But fear never builds lasting strength. It builds hesitation, regret, and what-ifs. Each unspoken word is a seed of doubt, planted in the soil of silence, growing into a forest of missed chances. He may tell himself he's protecting his pride or hers, but silence often hurts both. The unspoken feelings twist into assumptions and misunderstandings. What if she felt the same but didn't hear his truth? What if silence closed a door that words could have kept open? There's a heavy loneliness in carrying love in silence. It isolates him from the people who might understand, comfort, or help him. It turns a shared human experience into a solitary burden. Love is meant to be spoken, shared, and felt. Silence denies all three. Ultimately, silence can be a mask that hides not strength, but fear, confusion, and unresolved pain. It's not the absence of strength, but the absence of courage. And without courage, love struggles to survive or be reborn. For him, silence is not the fortress it seems. It's a prison, one that keeps him stuck in a place he doesn't want to be, yet can't escape. Regret is a quiet, persistent shadow that follows those who leave their hearts unsaid. When love remains unspoken, when truths are left hanging in the air, regret sneaks in slowly but surely, until it becomes a constant companion. For him, regret is not about what happened, but about what he never dared to say, what he let slip away in silence. He thinks about the moments he could have spoken up but didn't, the times when words were on the tip of his tongue but never made it past his lips. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was pride, or maybe it was just not knowing how to say the things his heart felt. Whatever the reason, those unsaid words now feel like heavy stones weighing down his soul. Regret doesn't just hurt in the moment. It grows over time. Like a slow, burning fire, it consumes the edges of memory and twists what once was simple into complicated what-ifs. What if he had said, "I'm still in love"? What if he had reached out one more time? What if he had been brave enough to be vulnerable? These questions haunt him endlessly. Regret is amplified by silence. The more he hides behind unspoken truths, the louder the echo of what could have been becomes. It's like walking away from a conversation unfinished, leaving the other person guessing and the story incomplete. Regret doesn't just live in him. It spreads into the empty spaces between what was said and what was never said. He watches others around him express love freely and wonders why he couldn't do the same. Theirs may be messy, imperfect, but at least they tried. At least they spoke their truth. For him, regret is a reminder of lost chances and the heavy cost of silence, chances to heal, to reconnect, or even just to say goodbye properly. The hardest part of regret is that it's often irreversible. Words once left unsaid can't be taken back or replayed like a song. Time moves forward, people change, and opportunities vanish. Regret is the cruel result of moments past, moments he can't get back, no matter how much he wishes he could. But regret is also a teacher. It shows him what he's afraid to admit, that holding back his truth has caused more pain than speaking it might have. It forces him to confront the price of pride and silence, and sometimes regret is the first step toward breaking free from that cycle. He carries regret quietly, like a scar beneath the surface. He might not show it openly, but it shapes his thoughts, his actions, his hesitations. It colors the way he sees love and himself, making every future step feel uncertain. Regret is a reminder of a love unfinished, a story left untold. Even in his silence, regret demands acknowledgement. It's the ghost that lingers at the edges of his mind, the voice that whispers in quiet moments. It's not just about missing her, it's about missing the chance to be honest, to be brave, to be vulnerable. And that kind of regret is the hardest to bear. He may act like he doesn't care. He may laugh when friends bring her up, change the subject quickly, or avoid looking at her pictures. But the truth is, he notices everything. Every little thing about her, the way she smiles, the way she moves, the small details most people overlook, remains vivid in his mind. Even when he pretends not to see, his heart remembers. When she laughs, even from afar, it catches his attention. It's a sound he thought he'd never hear again, but it still pierces through the noise of his busy mind. He might pretend it doesn't matter, but inside it stirs something he hasn't been able to quiet. It's a reminder of the connection they once shared, a spark that refuses to fade. He notices changes too, the subtle ones, a new hairstyle, the way she dresses, the places she frequents now. These details tell a story, one he watches unfold silently. Each change is a chapter he's both curious about and afraid to read fully. He may not reach out, but he's watching, taking in every piece of her new life as if trying to understand what it means for him. Social media posts, mutual friends' stories, casual encounters, they all become a source of information he processes quietly. He analyzes the meaning behind a smile in a photo, wonders about a new friendship, or guesses at the emotions behind a status update. To outsiders, it might seem like indifference, but to him, it's anything but. He remembers the little things, her favorite coffee, the song she hums when she's happy, the way her eyes light up when she talks about something she loves. These memories are etched deeply, and they surface unexpectedly, catching him off guard. Even if he tries to push them away, they linger, reminding him that she's never truly left. He notices how she carries herself now, whether she's stronger, softer, happier, or guarded. He watches for signs of pain or joy, hoping she's doing okay, even if he's too proud to ask. It's a quiet concern, hidden beneath layers of distance and silence, but it's there nonetheless. Sometimes he catches himself staring longer than he intended, feeling a pang of longing that he tries to mask with indifference. He might quickly look away, telling himself to stop, but his eyes betray his true feelings. His heart still reaches for what his mind insists he should forget. He also notices the little moments he shared with her, the inside jokes, the late-night talks, the shared dreams. Those memories are vivid and alive, and they haunt him in unexpected ways. They remind him of the intimacy they once had, and the gap left by her absence feels even wider. Even when he pretends he's moved on, he notices her absence in his daily life, the empty spaces where she used to be, the silence of not hearing her voice, the lack of her presence at familiar places, the void in moments meant to be shared. It's a presence felt through absence, sharp and undeniable. In the end, noticing everything is his way of holding on. It's how he keeps a piece of her close, even if he refuses to admit it. His pride may keep his lips sealed, but his heart is quietly watching, remembering, and aching, aware of every little thing that still ties him to her. Fear is a quiet but powerful force in his heart. More than the pain of losing her, more than the ache of loneliness, he fears rejection, the raw, exposed moment when his love is not returned or is dismissed. That fear is paralyzing, and it holds him back from saying what he truly feels. To him, rejection feels like a wound deeper than loss, something that could shatter the fragile hope he still clings to. He imagines the worst, her saying she doesn't feel the same, that she's moved on, that the love he holds is one-sided. The thought of hearing those words is unbearable. It feels like not just losing her, but losing himself, his dignity, and everything he built his feelings on. So instead of risking that pain, he keeps silent, retreating into a protective shell. This fear is rooted in vulnerability. To admit love again means to expose his heart to possible hurt. It means letting down the walls he built around himself after the breakup, walls that were meant to keep him safe, but now feel like barriers to healing. The idea of tearing those walls down terrifies him more than the loneliness of keeping them up. He's seen others face rejection and knows the aftermath, the embarrassment, the sorrow, the self-doubt. He fears that pain more than the slow ache of unspoken love. Rejection feels like a public failure, a confirmation that he wasn't enough or that the love wasn't real. It's easier to carry silent longing than to face that reality head on. The longer he holds back, the heavier the burden grows. Every day without saying the words, every moment of pretending, chips away at his courage. His mind convinces him that silence is safer, that the risk isn't worth it. But deep down he knows that not speaking only prolongs the suffering and uncertainty. His pride battles with this fear. Pride wants to protect him from humiliation, to keep his image intact, but the fear underneath tells a different story. It's a story of pain, loss, and desperate hope. This internal conflict leaves him stuck, unable to choose between protecting himself and pursuing what his heart truly wants. There are times when the fear is so overwhelming that it clouds his judgment. He may convince himself she's better off without him, that his love would only complicate things, but these are just defenses, walls built from fear rather than truth. The real truth is that he's still in love and terrified of what might happen if he dares to show it. He sometimes wonders if she suspects what he feels. Maybe she senses the distance, the silence, the way he looks at her when no one's watching. He hopes she understands, but the fear of rejection keeps him from confirming anything, keeps him from risking a conversation that might change everything. This fear also isolates him. It makes him retreat into himself, avoiding opportunities to reconnect or clarify. He lives in a limbo where the love is alive but unreachable, held back by the dread of hearing no. The irony is cruel. He fears losing her, but his fear might be the very thing that pushes her away. Ultimately, his fear of rejection is not just about her. It's about protecting his heart from breaking again. It's about the vulnerability that comes with love, and the courage it takes to risk everything for a chance at happiness. Until he faces that fear, he remains silent, trapped in the painful space between love and loss. In the complex language of love, words often feel too risky, too fragile to express the depth of what he feels. So instead, he chooses actions, subtle gestures, small signs, moments of attention, that reveal the love he cannot say aloud. These actions become his voice when words fail him, speaking louder than any declaration ever could. Yet alongside these actions, his silence carries its own powerful message. The quiet moments, the things left unsaid, the hesitation and restraint, these speak volumes to those who know how to listen. His silence is heavy with meaning, a silent confession of his heart's turmoil, pride, and love wrapped into one. When he notices her quietly, checks in without fanfare, or remembers the little things that matter to her, he's telling a story of care. His actions might seem small or even insignificant to outsiders, but to her they are echoes of a love that hasn't faded. Each thoughtful gesture is a reminder that he's still present, even if his lips are sealed. But silence can also confuse. Without the clarity of words, actions may be misread or overlooked. She might wonder if he cares at all, or if he has truly moved on. This gap between action and silence can cause misunderstandings, making their connection fragile and uncertain. His silence sometimes acts as a shield, protecting him from vulnerability, but also from rejection. By not speaking, he avoids the risk of his love being dismissed. But this very silence, while safeguarding his pride, also creates distance, a quiet barrier that separates two hearts that want to connect. Actions, however, continue to reveal his feelings in ways words cannot. He might go out of his way to be near her, support her in subtle ways, or remember things she loves. These actions are his silent language of devotion, a way to keep her close without risking the pain of rejection. But the silence around those actions can also be deafening. When he refrains from explaining why he does what he does, or why he stays near yet distant, it leaves room for doubt and confusion. Silence here is not neutral. It shapes the narrative as much as words would, often painting a picture of unresolved feelings and hesitation. Sometimes his silence speaks of a deep inner conflict. He wants to say more, but fears the consequences. He acts out of love, but holds back out of pride. This tension makes his actions bittersweet, both hopeful and painful. They are the signs of a heart torn between desire and self-protection. This silent dialogue between what he does and what he doesn't say is a complex dance. It is filled with longing, regret, hope, and fear. And while his actions might reassure her that he still cares, his silence leaves her guessing about what his heart truly wants, or whether he can ever express it fully. Ultimately, the combination of actions and silence tells a story that words alone could never capture. It's a story of a love that's alive but complicated, loud in its quietness, and full of meaning for those willing to see beyond what is said. His silence, paired with his actions, is a language all its own, one that speaks volumes about the love he holds inside. Hope is a fragile, beautiful thing, and for him it glimmers faintly in the darkest corners of his heart. Even after everything, he still clings to the possibility that things could change, that love might find a way back to them. This hope fuels him, giving him moments of light in an otherwise heavy silence. But alongside that hope is a deep hesitation, a cautious pause that stops him from moving forward. He wonders if he's dreaming too much, if hope is just a cruel illusion that will only lead to more pain. The hesitation grows from past wounds, the memories of hurt and misunderstanding that make him afraid to take the next step. It's a tension between what he desires and what he fears, a constant battle inside him. Each day hope whispers possibilities. Maybe she still feels something too. Maybe the silence between them can be broken. Maybe a word, a look, or a small gesture could change everything. This hope keeps him watching, waiting, sometimes reaching out in subtle ways. It's the light that refuses to go out, no matter how dim it seems, but hesitation pulls him back. It warns him of rejection, of reopening old wounds, of facing vulnerability that might be too much to bear. This hesitation makes him pause at crossroads where his heart urges him to move forward, leaving him stuck in a place of uncertainty. It's a protective instinct that fights with his desire. He's caught in this emotional limbo where hope and hesitation coexist uneasily. Neither dominates completely. Instead, they weave together in a complicated dance. Hope dares him to believe in a future with her again, while hesitation urges caution, silence, and distance. This internal struggle creates a kind of emotional paralysis. He wants to speak, to reach out, to be honest, but the fear of the unknown outcome keeps him silent. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff. Hope encourages him to jump, but hesitation reminds him to look before he leaps. The conflict between hope and hesitation is exhausting. It drains his energy and clouds his thoughts. Some days, hope feels strong enough to overcome hesitation, pushing him toward vulnerability and honesty. Other days, hesitation feels overwhelming, convincing him that silence is safer than risk. In this state, he often reflects on what could be lost versus what might be gained. Hope tells him there's a chance for healing, for new beginnings. Hesitation warns him that trying again might break him more deeply. The weighing of these possibilities makes every decision heavy with consequence. Despite the push and pull, the presence of hope means he's not ready to give up. His heart still beats for her, even if his mind argues otherwise. And while hesitation slows him down, it doesn't extinguish the possibility that one day courage will win. Until then, he remains caught in the painful balance of hope and hesitation. Love is often misunderstood as something that ends only when words are spoken to declare its closure. But in reality, love can linger quietly, invisibly, living in the spaces between silence and unexpressed feelings. For him, love isn't over just because he hasn't said it aloud. It's alive inside, quietly persistent, waiting for its moment to be acknowledged. When love remains unspoken, it becomes a powerful undercurrent in every thought and action. He carries it in his heart like a secret treasure, sometimes a burden, sometimes a beacon. This unvoiced love shapes his days and nights, influencing his choices even if no one else knows it's there. It's an invisible thread tying him to the past and the possibilities of what might still come. Unspoken love can be confusing and painful because it exists in a liminal space, not fully expressed, not fully released. It's like a song half sung, a story half old. The emotions are raw and real, but they lack the clarity that words can bring. This ambiguity leaves room for hope and doubt to coexist uneasily. He might act as if he's moved on, as if the chapter is closed, but the truth is that love lives on quietly beneath the surface. It colors his memories, his dreams, and even his fears. That love waits patiently for the right moment or courage to be spoken, refusing to be erased by silence or time. The idea that love isn't truly over until it's spoken challenges the notion that endings have to be clear, cut. Sometimes love fades slowly, imperceptibly, and sometimes it stays hidden, waiting for an opportunity to be reborn. This unseen love can be the hardest to confront because it feels like it exists in a shadow world, real but intangible. When he finally finds the courage to speak, it won't just be words. It will be the release of years of emotion, hope, regret, and longing. Speaking that love could bring healing or heartbreak, but until he tries, the love remains suspended, neither dead nor fully alive. It's a delicate balance held in the tension of silence. There's also a fear that if he speaks, it might change everything, perhaps for better, perhaps for worse. So he waits, caught between the desire to confess and the dread of what those words might do. This hesitation makes the love feel even more precious and fragile, like a fragile flame that could be snuffed out or reignited. Unspoken love is a testament to the power of the heart's memory and resilience. It shows how deeply someone can care, even without outward expression. It reminds us that love isn't always about grand gestures or declarations. Sometimes it's about the quiet presence of feelings that refuse to die. Ultimately, love isn't over until it's spoken, because love is more than words. It's the feeling that lives inside, the connection that remains even when silence fills the space. As long as he holds that love in his heart, it's still alive, waiting, and very much a part of his story. In the end, love is not just about the words we say, it's about the feelings that live deep within us, even when pride keeps them silent. He's still in love, yes, but that love is wrapped in layers of hesitation, fear, and unspoken truths. It's a love that watches from the shadows, notices every little thing, and hopes quietly for a chance to be heard. Maybe one day he'll find the courage to break the silence and speak what his heart has held onto all this time. Until then, his love remains a powerful, unseen force, proof that sometimes the deepest feelings are the ones left unsaid. And perhaps in that silence there is still hope, because love, real love, isn't over until it's spoken, and sometimes it survives precisely because it waits.